Hello and good morning, everyone. So I am super excited to do today's video today. So today is all about Immersive Reader. And in case you haven't heard, Immersive Reader is a tool that's built into the Microsoft Edge and other Microsoft programs and platforms today. And so Immersive Reader is a tool that enables readers of all ages and abilities to improve their reading and writing skills using, proven technologies. It was originally designed for readers with dyslexia and dysgraphia, but at the end of the day, Immersive Reader is a great tool that can increase comprehension and concentration while reading, as well as keeping people, students, staff, and others focused on the core content that you'd be working on. So in today's short little video, I'm going to be doing a little bit of an overview. I'll be showing you a couple of little demos, and then I will be going over how this is helpful in the classroom. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, well, Immersive Reader, as I just explained, is used for students and staff members that are trying to help those that need to be able to read and write more effectively. And so Immersive Reader is built into Microsoft Edge, as well as the different Microsoft apps, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and all the others. So pretty much anything at office.com will work with Immersive Reader. Now you ask, where is it? How do I activate it? Where do I go and access this? Well, it depends on the application, but usually on most of them, you'll be able to access it on the top right-hand corner under the View or Review buttons. Now, as for Microsoft Edge, it's actually built into the browser itself. So to go ahead and get started, I've done a little bit of a PowerPoint, and as you can see here, I've gone over the explanation. Additionally, it is also useful for people with dyslexia, ADHD, emerging readers, non-native speakers, those with visual impairments, and they've also integrated it with multiple other third-party platforms, such as Flipgrid, Teams Classroom, Microsoft EDU, Microsoft Lens, and many, many others. The reason why this is important is because a lot of students and even staff members, in adult education really struggle with the latest in terms of like reading and writing technologies. And the Surface devices that we have available to us today are really great at being able to take content and display it in a way that is useful for our end users. And so one of the biggest ways that I like to showcase this is going into the Edge browser and being able to show what you can really do with the whole platform. So what I've done is I've gone to our main office.com portal and signed in. This is my test user. But what I wanted to do was go over to a website that's commonly used in education today. And this is called SparkNotes. I constantly see this at the middle school and high school levels, and I used to use it back in the day myself. So as you can tell, it's 10, 15 years old. And so the big issue that we always had with this website was, as you can see, there are all sorts of advertisements, distractions, like all sorts of stuff that are popping up on this page. And a lot of our educational content, as you'll notice when you go to it, will also have ads and whatnot on the sides of it. And so this is really distracting to students and staff members. Like imagine having this up on like a large display. You'd have ads and stuff popping up all over the place. And so where Immersive Reader is really great about kind of corralling this is being able to extract the text layers from this and showing it in a way that's easier for staff and students. And in order to do that, you'll go up over here to the top right-hand corner and you'll press this button. It's the little booklet with the little voice button that has the little speaker icon. And so this is what will access Immersive Reader. As you can see, you can also press the F9 key. Now I'm going to go ahead and press that here in this instance. And as you can see, it has completely extracted all of the text off of the page for us. And how this is very helpful is there's no more distractions. There's nothing else pulling the user away or the staff and students away that are being presented this material. It is mostly just the core content of the text. And so you might be in a large room where the projector is showing something and you notice that the contrast doesn't look right. Well, what's super awesome is you can go in here to text preferences, change the text size, smaller, larger, depending on the display. You can increase the text spacing to make it easier to see. You even have a few different font options. So that way, in case the students respond better to different types of font, you have a few options to select from. You also have text column style to make it wider or smaller to keep it more in line. I typically like the wider type of displays just because it typically looks better, but it's totally up to the end user and what makes sense on their displays. But the biggest thing that I like to be able to showcase is the different color variations and the contrast. And why this is super important. You're probably going to be in a number of different areas, packs, labs, projectors, interactive televisions. Like it's going to be all over, and we'll see a wide mix in education. And what's super awesome about this is it gives you the ability to change the theme so that way the color that works most appropriately for the class can be selected. And so I've used this multiple times when I've done large scale presentations, and I need to be able to make sure that the content is focused in on because it's a low light or the light in the room that I'm working in, has a couple of issues. Like maybe on the left-hand side, the sun's blaring in, and the right-hand side, it's completely dark. So the room kind of looks a little bit disjarred in terms of color. And so this is a great way for me to be able to isolate this and set those different colors so that way it's easier for my staff and students to be able to see it. And so it's super awesome to be able to change that as necessary. Now on top of that, we've also got grammar tools. Now if you see here, we can break things up by syllables. And this is super important because it gives the students and staff members the ability to help sound things out. Remember, this tool is all about reading and comprehension and being able to help students and staff members kind of accelerate in that key area. And so this is a great way to be able to break that down so people can see those pauses. It's also great for ESL students that are going through, English as a second language because they might not always understand how the words are broken up. So this gives them a nice, great way to be able to do that and sound it out. Now, on top of that, you've also got your parts of speech. So you can break up the document with the different nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs, and you can color code it. And this is super important because you can color code this to your lesson plans. And so that way, as you're going through documentation and you're creating new lesson plans and materials, you can color code it to the appropriate way that you need to with curriculum. And so it's super nice to be able to change this as necessary. And it's super awesome because the kiddos can turn this on and off as needed, and they can move through and do this at their own pace as necessary. We've also got reading preferences. And this is important because, say, for example, you have the system reading it back to you, and you want to keep the students or the staff members focused on one line at a time, or maybe even 3 or 4 times, or 4 or 3 or 5 lines at a time. This is really helpful because when you're in lab environments, when you're trying to keep the students focused on one key area, this allows you to more or less kind of keep those students that will typically read ahead more in line with the content that you're presenting. And so this is a super way to do that, especially like I had said earlier, while the read aloud systems are running. Now, the other part to this is what's called picture dictionary. Now, this is a great system because this also ties into Boardmaker and how this ties in and works together. And this might not be the best document to use, but this will allow you to more or less equate this to the symbology that Boardmaker use. So the symbol for man will be the same that you'll see in your Boardmaker system. The symbol for egg, for example, will also be the same between the different systems. And so it's super awesome to have that capability when you need it to. And it's not showing at the moment, but it'll usually show you like a little wand, and then you'll click over the object and it'll show you the icon. Now, what's also super awesome is you can easily change this, the document's language once the text is extracted. So say, for example, your ESL students need to go through and understand the different words or the entire page, you can tell the system to go through and translate this. And what's super awesome is you see how quick that was. It didn't take long. And as you also see, the language itself in the application switched over to the language that it assumes that it's going to want to be read back in. And this is super awesome because this makes it easier for students and staff members to be able to bridge that language barrier. And so it's just super awesome to see this where it's translating things in real time, more or less, back and forth. Now, the one big thing I also wanted to showcase was the read aloud systems. Now, I'm going to be quiet during this for a few moments, but what's super awesome about this is that Microsoft systems give you the ability to switch between different neural languages. And what this means is that the voices should sound much more natural. And you'll have all different variety of voice types. That way you can keep your students and staff members engaged. And so I just wanted to do a quick voice sample so that you can see how this looks and works.
The Great Gatsby. Then wear the gold hat, if that will move her. If you can bounce high, bounce for her too, till she cry lover, gold-hatted, high-bouncing lover, I
So
must
right
have
now
you.
we're on aria, but as
Thomas
you can
Park
see in here,
D'Invilliers.
there are a large amount
In
of
my
different
younger and more
languages.
vulnerable years,
Say,
my
for
father
example,
gave me
maybe the
some
kids will
advice that
respond
I've been
more to
turning
like someone from the United
They're in my
Kingdom.
mind ever since. Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, he told me, just remember that all the
So
people
this
in
is
this world
super
haven't
awesome
had the
because
advantages
these
that you've
really truly sound like
He didn't
people.
say anymore,
And
but we've
so
always
for the
been
first
unusually
time,
communicative
like
in
we
a
can
reserved
actually
way,
show and
and I
display
understood that he meant a
materials
great deal
and
more
allow
than
the
that.
systems to
In
actually
consequence, I'm
show
inclined to
it in
reserve
a
all judgments,
natural
a habit that has penned up
language
many
type of
curious
way.
natures to me and
This is
also
super
made me the
important
victim
to
of not a
students that
few
are
veteran
learning how to
bores.
speak and spell and
The
say things
abnormal
for the
mind is
first
quick to
time.
detect and attach
Back in the
itself to
day
this
when we
quality
had
when it
like the
appears in a
kind of
normal
the
person,
robotic
and so
sounding
it came about that
voice,
in college I
that
was
could be a little
unjustly
bit,
accused of being a
disconcerting to
politician,
students,
because I
especially
was privy
trying
to
to
the
learn
secret
the
griefs of wild,
language.
unknown men.
Whereas this
Most of the
gives us the
confidences were
easy
unsought,
ability
frequently
to see all of that as well as follow along. And since it sounds very natural, they can easily use this to pick up the language and learn from there. And so it's just a super awesome utility that's built into the platform today. Now, I also wanted to show you within Edge how this is useful for PDFs, for example. Now, you don't get all the same options that you would like if you were going to a normal website, but you still get the read aloud options, which you can see up here on the top left-hand corner. And so this is still nice to be able to see and break it down so that way you can go through and do the read along in case you have pre-done materials today that are already PDFs. So it's super awesome to have access to this and understand that it'll still work across a number of different objects and document types. You'll just have to test it out. So I just want to do a quick overview today about Immersive Reader, how it works in Edge, and why this is super important in the education industry. So thank you. I wanted to keep this video short today, and have a great day. Bye.